Hello, crafting friends. It's Kristen again with the trusty sidekick Fiona. I've got some pipe cleaners out today, so she's sure to make some great appearances. At any rate, today we have a really fun story that we are getting to talk about. It's got a miracle, it's got crowds, it's got a fun element, and it's very craftable. So I'm excited. I hope that you are too. We are going to talk about the feeding of the 5,000. In fact, if you want to get technical, the feeding of the 5,000 plus, because in the Bible there were 5,000 men mentioned, probably more when you include women and children. But that's just a fun side note. At any rate, no, there were no cats in this story, sorry. So we're going to make two crafts today, and there are several adaptations that you could make to this and additional crafts as well. But the two ones that we're going to focus on today are we're going to make a basket and we're going to make a fish, because we're talking about how Jesus took just a few loaves and fish and turned it into this amazing, wonderful, miraculous meal. So the first one we're going to do is a basket, and you're going to need a paper plate. Yep, paper plates always come in handy. Some coloring materials, some adhesive. I recommend staples for part of this. Glue will be good as well if you choose to add one of these additional embellishments I recommend. And then some scissors and some construction paper. So let's get right to work. We're going to start by making a basket out of this paper plate. So first you'll want to cut it in half, fold it like a taco so that you can cut it and make sure to get it in half. When we flip the taco over, it's going to turn into our basket. So first we're going to snippity snip, cut the plate apart. Now, here's the fun extra element that you don't have to do, but you can do. You can add a little fun here by making this basket woven. Now, there are different ways that you can do this, but if you want to weave some little paper strips in and get all fancy-pantsy, what you're going to do is you are going to cut some little snippets in the paper. So you're going to cut some little pieces out of the paper plate, and you're going to slide some strips of paper through this to make it look like it's kind of a woven basket. Now, this is an advanced move. So it's more for maybe your older kids or kids that are really good with fine motor. Younger kids can certainly do it, but will likely need a little extra help. So once you're going to cut these horizontal strips in your paper plate, being careful not to go all the way through the paper plate, of course. Then you're going to take some construction paper and you are going to cut it into long strips. So we're just going to cut it into about maybe just under an inch per strip. Of course, this is not going to be absolutely precise, but you get the idea. And then let me show you how we're going to weave it. You can pick multiple colors. And now what we're going to do is you're going to poke the paper from the inside, bring it around, poke it through to the other side, flip it, poke it under, flip it, poke it over, and then you're going to wiggle that little guy down, and then you're going to do the same thing with your next strip of weaving, and you can tape or glue or staple that at the side if you need to secure it more. So now we're going to go the opposite way. We're going to start out going from the top to the bottom, flip it around. This is called paper weaving. It's really fun if you want to make like a little tablecloth or celebrate Cinco de Mayo or make a basket. And so we'll go with just two of these so you can get the idea of how it works. So there you have your element of wovenness here. And of course, you could add more to that, but you may also wish to leave a little spot for a decoration on the top. So on the top of that, you can write something. You can add a verse caption or write about the story, which we'll do in a moment. But first, we're going to finish turning this into a basket. So we're going to add, now of course, you're more than welcome to do that weaving on both parts of the paper plate. For the sake of time, so you don't have to sit there staring at me weaving paper, we're just going to do one for now. Now we're going to staple my parts together. So I've got this lovely little basket. Ta-da! And then I'm going to add a handle for my wonderful basket. So you can hole punch this, or you can just glue or tape or staple that in there. Now I've got my lovely little handle for my lovely little woven paper basket. And now, ta-da, now we're going to add our loaves and fishes in here. So we're going to cut out. Of course, you are more than welcome and probably recommended to draw your piece of bread on there before you cut. Or you can just freehand it and run the rest of it looking a little lopsided. But I mean, hey, it's bread. Bread's not perfect, right? So here's my loaf. Obviously, you're going to have more than one loaf and fish, but I'm giving you the general idea of things. So we're going to put our loaf in there. We're going to make our fish. And again, feel free to draw this first, or just take your chances at how well you can cut a fish. As it just so happens, I've cut 1 or 2 fish in my day. There's a lot of fish stories out there. So, fish and loaf go into the basket, and you have your lovely little woven basket reminder of our story. So that's craft number 1. On to craft number 2. This one's a little bit strange, but we're talking about how Jesus took just a little bit of food, just a little lunch that someone brought him, and turned it into something amazing, turned it into a whole bunch of food that everyone ate from and was satisfied. So this is also a fun principle to talk about when we're talking about crafts, when we're talking about any crafts, because what we're doing when we are making new things is that we are taking simple everyday items like paper plates, paper bags, crayons. These are just simple things, and we're turning it into something new and fun and creative and decorative, because that's what God does with our lives. He makes us something new, and that's what's happening in the story. Jesus took just a little bit of food and turned it into something that nourished thousands of people. So that's what we are illustrating in this craft number 2. We're going to make a fish. So here's the idea. The outside is going to be our fish, and then inside of our fish, we're going to put a whole bunch more fish. So you're going to need that paper again, and this time I recommend you layer it up because we're going to need to make a bunch of fish. So here we go. We're going to layer it, and we're going to, this time we'll draw it so it's a little bit more precise. So we're going to draw our little fishy, and maybe we'll draw a few little fishies. And but the fact of layering the paper just makes it easier to cut multiple fishies at a time, as long as you properly line it up so that they all come out. So fishy, 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 fishy. Wow, it seems like I'm better at cutting that freehand than even trying to draw it. Anyways, so here comes our snippy snip of the fishy fish. And if this is one that if you've got some extra time and you want to just let your kids cut out a whole ocean or lake full of fish, go for it. Make a whole bunch, because that's the idea, is that we're making a whole bunch. We're doing a lot with these little fish. So, cutty cut, cutty cut. Again, for timing purposes, we're going to cut just a few. Well, a few meaning like 8. That's several fish. And then we're going to take our bag. This is going to be the head of the fish. So feel free to add a little googly eye, or you can draw your little fish eye on there so that we know that's what is going on here. It's a fish. You can do this to both sides of the bag, of course, or just one. Maybe you want to add a little smiley face. He's a happy fish. Maybe you want to add some little scales. Maybe he's like a little scaly goldfish. And then we're going to put in a reminder of what this is all about. So we're going to write on here, from just a little something, ... And then maybe on one of your fish, you can draw the other side of that caption. I'm going to borrow my fish from the other craft. I'm going to write, oops, God can do big things. So now we're going to add to our decoration on this fish in just a moment. So we're going to first put our little fish inside of here. That way, when we open it up, we'll have all these little fishies that are inside of our bag. So lunch bag reminding us of the lunch in the story. Little fishies reminding us of the little bit. Many fish reminding us of the multiplication of the food. And then you can make this either functional or more fun with the addition of goldfish crackers. So here's what you can do. You can make this into a snack, like a piñata. You can throw the goldfish inside there. Or, because really you can do both, you can also take some of these goldfishies out and decorate it on the outside. So here's my fish in the bag. Now, in order to make this more like a fish, we're going to, I guess I could have written that differently. We're going to tie off his tail here. So this is his fishy tail. So you're going to add a pipe cleaner, or you can just staple or glue it. Do it around like that. Then fluff it up there. And now we're going to glue on our fish. And again, you don't have to glue these on. That's just an extra piece of fun. If you glue them on, please do not eat them afterwards. Kids may want to. I mean, this is probably pretty non-toxic, so whatever. And then you have your fish. From just a little something, open up that fish and you've got a whole bunch more fish and edible and paper fish there. So from just a little something, God can do great things. And that's the moral of the story, that God uses sinful, crazy people like us to do amazing things. So you can have this as a decoration. If you want to make it functional, make it a gift, put some extra snacks in there, and let someone else have it and enjoy it. So have fun, make it yours, get creative, get crafty. Like what you see, don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment below. Give us suggestions for next time. Have a great week. Go make some crafts, make some fish, make some disciples. We'll see you next time.